you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, the head of the OBR warned the government that higher and higher levels of taxes are bad for growth. Does the Prime Minister agree?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'll tell you what's bad for growth. 14 years of a Tory government. That's what the stagnant growth for 14 years, leaving a £22 billion black hole. What we've achieved, Mr. Speaker, in the first quarter of this year is the highest growth in the G7, something we promised before the election. Investment of £120 billion into this country, which is a record in the first year of any government, and 3 trade deals, all of which will boost growth.
Mr. Speaker, he's talking about what he achieved. We just heard that inflation is up again, the worst in the G7. We left him with 2% inflation. We have borrowing up, unemployment up, taxes are up under his government. The fact is the Prime Minister doesn't get it, so let me tell him. His budget last year had high taxes. That's why the economy is contracting. But, Mr. Speaker, the government has said that they won't put up taxes for people on modest incomes. But they also seem incapable of explaining who is in that category. So can the Prime Minister clear up the confusion and tell us what he thinks a modest income is?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think of the working people across this country who put in every day and don't get back what they deserve, and that's who we're working for. That's who we're fixing the country. The sort of people that work hard but haven't necessarily got the savings to buy themselves out of problems. And, Mr. Speaker, that's who we're working for, and that's why we put the national living wage up. That's an extra £1,400. The national minimum wage up. That's £2,500 a year. The triple lock, Mr. Speaker, that went up pension up £470, and of course we're extending childcare, opening free breakfast clubs and free school meals. We know exactly who we're working for. She comes here every week and just talks the country down.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not talking the country down, I'm talking him down. I asked him what a modest income was. He answered what a working person is. He doesn't know what a modest income is, and even on working people, they cannot define it. The Chief Secretary to the Treasury said that working people are people who don't get a payslip. But millions of self-employed people don't get a payslip. So are the self-employed next in line for a Labour tax rate?
The self-employed were the very people who suffered under their watch, repeatedly suffered under their watch, particularly, if I remember, during COVID, when they didn't get the support that they needed. But she talks the country down, she cherry-picks. We have created, Mr. Speaker, since we've been in government, we've created 380,000 jobs, the employment rate is up, and inactivity is down, the complete opposite of what we inherited.
I don't know where these 3,000 jobs are coming from. Unemployment has gone up every month under his government. And perhaps he should speak to farmers and small business people and find out what those working people think about his government. But, Mr. Speaker, that's not all. We know the Chancellor is launching a review into pension contributions. It's as clear as day why this is. It is because the government is considering taxing them. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that a tax on pension contributions is a tax on working people?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we made absolutely clear manifesto commitments, which she asked me about last week and we're keeping to. I'm not going to write the budget months out from the budget. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of the decisions that we took to invest in our NHS, to invest in our public services, all the decisions that they opposed, and it's no wonder that after a first year of a Labour government, business confidence is a 9-year high. 9 years. That's longer than she's been in government. Mr. Speaker, 384, I'm not withdrawing, I'm going to repeat, business confidence is at a 9-year high.
Mr. Speaker, he says he's not going to write the budget, but his Chancellor is on the front of the Daily Mirror talking about what she's going to do on taxes. So why can't he do the same in the chamber? Yes. But I asked him about pension contributions. The truth is he doesn't want to talk about pension contributions. It's all right for the Prime Minister. He has his own special law to stop his personal pension from being taxed. But let's be honest, Mr. Speaker, this is really about choices. My party knows that there is an alternative to tax rises. It's cutting spending, something that they are too scared or perhaps too weak to do. We offered to work with him to reform welfare and make meaningful savings, but his refusal sent a signal, and now the cost of borrowing is rising. The budget is in November, that is months away, and the markets may not wait. What will the Prime Minister be doing over the summer to get a grip on the cost of borrowing?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, they left the most incredible mess in the economy, and now they think that they can lecture others. I think just last week their chairman said that they've done the necessary apologising for the 14 years of failure. They've done the necessary. I didn't hear an apology for the lowest living standards in living history. I didn't hear an apology for the £22 billion black hole. I didn't hear an apology for the Liz Truss mini budget. So maybe she should like to stand up and make that apology now.
Mr. Speaker, he's not doing... Yes. Mr. Speaker, he's not planning on doing anything this summer to fix the economy. The shadow of the last budget is hanging over the entire country. Just yesterday, only the Conservatives supported the two-child benefit cap because only the Conservatives believe in living within our means. Not Labour, not the Liberal Democrats, not Reform, but it's the end of term, Mr. Speaker, so why don't we go through his end-of-term scorecard? The economy is contracting. Inflation, highest in the G7. Unemployment, up every month under this government. Spending, out of control. Borrowing costs, more expensive than Greece. And this is just the first year, Mr. Speaker. The Labour Party should be ashamed of what it is doing to the country. They can shake their heads as much as they like. The fact is, this summer, they're going to have to go to their constituents and explain why they've been making such a mess over the last 12 months. And isn't the case, Mr. Speaker, that the worst, given that this is just their first year, the worst is yet to come?
We're happily going to go to our constituents. We're going to tell them we promised 2 million extra NHS appointments and we delivered 4 million extra appointments. Mr. Speaker, I've got to upgrade that. It's now 4.5 million extra appointments. So we're going to tell our constituents that. Then we're going to tell them about the free school meals we're rolling about, the free breakfast clubs, the free childcare and school uniform costs. We'll tell them about that. And then when we've done that, we'll move on to affordable houses and tell them about the £39 billion we're investing. When we finish that, we'll tell them about the rail and road upgrades across the country, the £120 billion investment, and of course the 3 trade deals. And Mr. Speaker, we're only just getting started.
Do you want to save a boatload of cash this summer, wherever you have a trip planned? The one thing you're going to need is access to the internet and on the go. And you can do that easily with Saily. Hit the link in the description to get 15% of your first eSIM plan ready for your trip so you can browse to your heart's content. Saily gets you a local SIM card you can use when traveling so you don't have to pay those crazy roaming fees just to send a message or check the latest news. Now, they've got plans in over 160 countries, 8 regions, so pretty much everywhere, wherever you're going, they'll be able to make sure you're connected. So how does it work? All you've got to do is this. Hit the link in the description to download the app. It will work on iOS or Android. Buy a plan. You can choose an amount of data and time frame that suits you best. And then just install the eSIM on your phone. When you land at your holiday destination, you can activate your plan instantly. And if that wasn't enough, Saily eSIMs only ever have to be installed once. So when you go on your next trip, you just buy a plan for a new country, turn that eSIM back on, and boom, you're back watching me on GB News. I'll be using a Saily SIM on my next holiday because it's actually faster than some of the hotel Wi-Fis. You can get unlimited data if you want, so you can scroll away to your heart's content. And when you leave the hotel, you don't have to do that annoying thing of Wi-Fi hopping because you've got constant connectivity wherever you go. And they've got 24/7 support as well and a full refund policy if your eSIM isn't compatible. So get sorted for your next trip. Download Saily using the link in the description below. And if you use the code NEWS at checkout, you'll get an exclusive 15% discount on us. So click the link, download Saily, and use the code NEWS at checkout.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister will never know exactly how much it meant to victims of the Troubles in Northern Ireland from right across society when he came, looked them in their eyes and promised them that no murderer would be immune from prosecution. Can he tell us when the last time he spoke to the Taoiseach about the shared approach to this issue was, and can he recommit today to those victims to ensure that no murderer will be seen as above the law?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this is a really important issue. Can I begin by saying I have a profound respect and debt to our veterans who served. This is a complicated issue, and we've got to get this right. Veterans are at risk because of the false promises of the last government. Exactly. Let's be clear. They made a false promise of immunity that does not exist. It was unlawful, it was struck down, and it was undeliverable. Their failed Legacy Act leaves veterans exposed with no settled process. We will create a secure, transparent system that protects veterans from unjustified persecution and gives victims, families, and survivors the confidence that they need in the process.
Sir Ed David, Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I associate myself with the Prime Minister's words about the shocking Afghan data breach under the previous government kept secret for 3 years? And he will have our support if he decides to pursue a public inquiry. Mr. Speaker, I know the Prime Minister will agree that the shocking rise of anti-Semitism we have seen since Hamas's October the 7th terror attacks has no place in our society. British Jews should not have to live in fear of hatred, racism and abuse on our streets or online. A new report from the Board of Deputies Commission on Anti-Semitism, chaired by Lord Mann and Dame Penny Mordaunt, has set out 10 recommendations to tackle this appalling scourge. Will the Prime Minister study this report, and will his government respond to it in full?
Prime Minister.
Yes, we will, and we must fight anti-Semitism wherever we find it, as we must fight all hate offences, crimes and incidents wherever we find them.
Sir Ed David.
Can I thank the Prime Minister for that reply? I hope we will see more action to tackle anti-Semitism. Returning to the Middle East now, Mr. Speaker, the world is looking on in horror at the scenes from Gaza. And now Netanyahu's ministers want to lock the whole population of Gaza into effectively a giant prison. A plan that would clearly amount to ethnic cleansing, as former Israeli Prime Minister Olmert has said. Does the Prime Minister agree that this is utterly abhorrent and unacceptable? And will he make clear to the Israeli government that the UK will not stand idly by and will act, starting by sanctioning Prime Minister Netanyahu himself?
Prime Minister.
Well, I am appalled by these suggestions in relation to Gaza, just as I'm appalled by the reports of yet more civilians being killed whilst trying to access aid. So on both fronts, I'm appalled by what we are seeing and what we're hearing. We raise it regularly, as he would expect. In relation to the civilians being killed, I would expect them to be fully and transparently investigated with full accountability for any failings. And Israel must clearly put in place measures that properly protect civilians in line with international law, and that is the case we're pressing repeatedly. But we do also want to see, and alongside that, an immediate ceasefire so that the hostages, the remaining hostages, can be brought out and aid at volume and at speed can be got in, and a political process opened that, in my view, is the only way we're going to get a lasting solution.
Hand it back there.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, 4-year-old Eli Tester was killed in Rocklestall Cemetery when a memorial stone fell on him. All of Rosendale was shocked by this tragedy, so I hope the Prime Minister will join me in offering our deepest condolences to Eli's parents and family. And Mr Speaker, families in Rosendale are also deeply concerned about reports that Reform-led Lancashire County Council are considering cuts to nursery funding. This would raise costs for working parents and might even force some nurseries to close. If this is an example of the sort of efficiencies that Reform are considering, then all of Lancashire, indeed all of us, should be worried. So would the Prime Minister join me in asking Lancashire County Council to think again?
Can I extend my deepest condolences to Eli's friends and family? And I do join him in urging the new Reform Council to think again and to change their mind on damaging cuts that hit children and young families. I have to say, my honourable friend is doing a much better job than his predecessor, the Conservative Party chairman under Liz Truss, who has now joined Reform, which proves once again, if you vote Tory, you get Reform, and if you vote Reform, you get the Tories. Whilst both of them are cutting services at home, we support families with free school meals, free breakfast clubs, and extending free childcare.